What is going on, guys and girls, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with another little video, and this video is going to be a little different. But I was thinking the other day, I've had people ask me before in the past, how did you run power to this? How did you do this? How did you do that? Well, I am here to answer all of them questions today. We're going to talk about how I built the center console, what I did to this, and how I performed all the wiring and all the drilling and everything like that. So, we're going to get into this video. First and foremost, if you're going to do something like this, you need a center console. Thankfully, my F-150 had a space in between the middle seat and to the actual dash itself. So this worked out just great. So I built the center console myself. This is made out of plywood, ABS plastic, and a form of cloth that I use, all bought off eBay. My awful craftsmanship, this turned out to be really good. I'm really happy with it. I was able to cut out the holes from the ABS plastic and everything like that, so it worked out just fine. So, getting to the wiring aspect of this, how do I get power from point A to point B? So, my F-150, I have a fuse box located down there on the passenger floor panel. So I was able to tap into a couple fuses, and yes, a couple, and I will talk about why I did that here in a second, and I ran it to underneath the carpet and everything to the center console, and that's how I power the center console. So, I'm powering three things in my center console. I'm powering my Kenwood, my Federal Signal, my Gulf Street Thunder. The Kenwood has three wires coming out of it. It has the hot, the ground, and the antenna. So, this is where I will discuss about why I tapped into two different fuses for this. So I tapped into two different fuses because I wanted to ensure that I had enough power going to this center console so I wouldn't cause a shortage or so I'm trying to avoid anything to catch on fire if I can. So I don't remember what kind of gauge wire I ran, but I ran two hot wires. I connected the Kenwood up, and then I made a ground wire, but thankfully I didn't have to tap into anything to make the ground wire because I had a bolt underneath my carpet about right there or so, and I was able to unscrew the bolt, and then I made a firm, tight ground for the ground. And so I have one ground power going to everything in this console, but two hot wires. So we're going to talk about the Gulf Street Thunder now, because this one has a lot more to talk about. So the Gulf Street Thunder has its own. The two sirens they are on. Oh my gosh, I can't speak English. They are on their own power supply. So I think it was like fuse 15, 16 I tapped into, but they're on their own thing. So the Gulf Street Thunder had the hot, the ground, the ignition, the two speaker wires, and it had a bunch of other things, a bunch of wires for like different, let's see, I'm trying to think what the word would be, like options you could have. Like if you wanted to have a horn overlay switch, you could, but I'm not dealing with that because you find it most in like cop cars, stuff like that, but that's just too much work for me. I was not looking for that mess. So I mounted my speaker out front. I'll get to everything here in a second like that. So the speaker's mounted up front, so the two ground wires went to that, connected the hot, the ground, and the siren. I connected the ignition wire also to the hot. So that's where I screwed up with this model. I did not realize that after I had already installed it, that I needed a switch, aka the ignition switch, to be connected to something that wasn't constantly hot. Well, I didn't realize that until after I had installed it, but thankfully this does not draw enough power to where it shorts the battery or anything like that, so we are good with that. Now the Federal Signal, on the other hand, I had to smarten up a little and do something about this. So this also had your hot, your ground, your ignition, and yeah, so that was the only thing that I had with this Federal Signal. But it has the light options, which I installed and everything like that. So the ignition wire, as you see here, I made my own switch. Or actually, I bought the switch and connected everything up to it. So whenever I get into the vehicle, I can literally just turn it on, turn it off, whatever I want to do with it. So I choose when this thing has power going to it. I forgot to mention with the Kenwood, it has its own kill switch up there. It turns it on, turns it off, does whatever. So that is how I get power to the center console. Fairly easy. I also forgot to mention that if you don't know much about electricity, then this will be probably hard for you to follow. This can help you install anything though. Obviously, you need to be sure you have the right authority to do such before you do anything like this, with your state laws, department SOPs, whole 9 yards of that. But this can help you in any way whatsoever, then I'm very thankful for that. I will try to be as detailed as I can. So now we're going to talk about how the wiring works. How does this power all of my LEDs? So, the reason why I bought this model was because, if you remember my old videos, I had them stupid toggle switches here in the middle. This controlled, it did control the power to the siren. It controlled the back lights, the front lights, some stupid underglow lights I had in the cab, and the radio. But, them toggle switches, they're cheap Chinese crap. They kept blowing out on me. And so I decided to break down, find something a siren that I liked, in a siren model that had this switch that activates lights. So that's what I did. I found this on the Fire Hall Flea Market on Facebook. Can't remember how much I paid for it. I think it was like $300, something like that. Guy got it to me as soon as I could. Found another speaker I bought from a guy in my department, and I was ready to go with this model. So I forgot my portable one too.
I'll be 10-17-40.
Sitting in the fire station parking lot. So
10-4-16-18.
So on this back of this model, it has all kinds of different screwing options for, because this is made for any type of emergency vehicle. Oh my gosh, guys, come on. So this is made for any type of vehicle that has light bars. So it has your takedowns, your left and right alleys, your wigwags, and auxiliary in your ROS, which is the equivalent to the manual in this. So previously, before I had taken out my toggle switches, thankfully I had everything wired the way I wanted it to be wired. So because obviously, your 1 needs to control your back and your sides, then your 2 needs to be your front and whatever, and then your 3 needs to be, if you have wigwags or anything like that, then it activates the siren too. So for my side and rear, I have a phone cable running from the back of this down underneath the seat here, and it shoots out to where it controls the back arrow sticks, the grill lights I had underneath here, and the new thing I just installed is my strobes. I'll talk about here in a second. There's where I put that. It's underneath my seat. So that is, whenever that gets activated, it gives power to all that, and it makes it go blink blink. Same thing with the front switch. I have all my wires that I need connected to, that controls my front, connected to my front. So this gives power to the front LEDs. So whenever I hit 1, 2, everything is lit up. Everything from the back to the front to the back, whatever. So, how did I get stuff from here to there? So, right here it's pretty easy. I drilled a bigger hole in the very back of the console so I can run wires in and out. And so the wires, like this, goes to my visor lights. This goes to the little dash light, and this controls my dash cam. I'll talk about the dash cam here in a little bit. But I had to run, obviously, for the stuff underneath the hood for the grill lights. And this new light bar I also just installed down there, I had to do something a little different. I had to go through the firewall in the truck. So thankfully, my Ford had a default hole already drilled in with a grommet. And so all I did was really just put the wires through it. So, as you can see, it's a cluster, but it's my cluster and it works. So the wires come out there. This is for the Golf Street Thunder. So I drilled the speaker in underneath this piece of metal here, and then I have the wiring for everything else coming up here. So this includes the grill lights that are on the license plate, the speaker, the wheel speaker here for the Touchmaster Delta, and then the light bar I just installed. So, and this light bar is installed to the lights. So anytime these emergency lights are activated, this light is also activated. Later on in the future, I'd like to put like another switch in. I can put like a diode that so I can use this for recreational use. Because as of right now, this light bar only comes on whenever the emergency lights are on. So, and then the grill lights, I have the 2 wires going up there, and then they just do whatever else they do. And then, so I forgot to talk about my antennas. So I only have one antenna actually doing something on this vehicle. I installed this antenna a long time ago, but it's not as powerful as the one I have on the roof. So I don't want to take this off because I don't want to patch the holes or anything I drilled into yet. So that's kind of what that is. So, but this antenna I have, it's just a magnetic one. Literally, it's like a citizen band antenna. You've probably seen these before. Anyone can literally have them. At least in my state. Like I said, and you always be sure you check your state and department SOPs and protocols if you can even do stuff like this. So the antenna runs down the seal here, and it shoots underneath the seat, through the seat cover, and then to the center console connecting to the Kenwood. So that is pretty much my center console in a nutshell. The wiring back here, it's a little hectic, but I'll show you everything's underneath the seat mats, weather tech. So the power gets brought in from here, and then it literally just shoots out everywhere else. It goes to the strobes, to the LEDs on the bottom, it goes over there to the same thing. It goes through the arrow sticks, everything like that. But this strobe thing, I put strobes in the 3rd brake light. I'm not going to showcase it. Actually, yeah, I will. I'll show you the hot mess I'm currently dealing with. So there's a little story behind this. So a couple years ago, I had taken off the back cover panel for that to replace my 3rd brake light. Well, long story short, it's cheap, flimsy, plastic, and I accidentally snapped it off, stripped the screw. Well, there was still one other side holding on to it, so it was still covered. Well, I was going down, whenever I installed it, I must have broke it the rest of the way, and then it going down the interstate like 70-75 miles per hour, thing flew off, and so I needed to tape it up, make it waterproof. I ended up actually needing to get back in there to finish on the wiring for the strobes, and the hardware store didn't have any more of that clear tape, so I'm waiting on them to get more clear tape so I can replace that, because the tape did not look like that. As soon as I put it on, I took it back off because I needed back in there to do something, and so that's not done yet. But I actually found another 3rd brake light just like that at a local scrap yard, and so I bought it off them, stuff like that. So whenever if I ever go to take everything out, then I'll just replace the brake light. But until then, there's going to be tape on the back of that because I don't want to take the strobes out. So, man, that's a spitful. So the cool thing, I want to talk about this light bar real quick. I had in the grill. So it's a color changing light bar. I have the remote for it up here. I can control, it has like 20 different lights on it. You know, it's awesome. Paid a pretty good price for it. But I'm only looking for 3 things on it. I found one pattern that sustains to a red moving pattern. I will use that to my advantage when running emergency calls, because that's why I wanted it for. I want it to, just for emergency use mainly. Later on, like I said, if I want to use it for recreational use, then I will probably do such. But whenever I activate it, so I should have it on the flashing pattern now, because it's hard to see in the day, but I have it set up to where it just flashes clear like that. I mean, hey, keep in mind, it's broad daylight. It's 4:30 right now. I mean, it's really hard to see, but it works, honestly. Since I have everything lit up, I'll show you the show me flasher I have down here. You can see it lit up, so it's working away. And then I can't remember, I think I got these strobes from LED Outfitters. But like I said, this thing's different. It's different at night. It's hard to see in the day, especially with that tape being screwed up right now. But this is not a set and done thing yet. And who knows? I might go get some more strobes or whatever later on in the future if I want to. So we'll just see what happens. So that is my center console pretty much in a nutshell. Everything is the stuff that I could bolt, I bolted that I could do securely. Everything else is pretty much just zip tied, because why bolt something or why put a hole in something if you don't have to? And zip ties are just as equivalent or just as effective. I mean, I don't see an issue with that. So if you have any questions or anything like that about any of this, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. If you have questions about your center consoles, I will try to help you, or just questions overall. Appreciate you guys watching. You guys keep being you all, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.